So what's your take then on the national conference? Because it would seem that we're all back to where people are saying the center is too heavy. Even you think that the National Assembly at the center too is taking on way too much. Do you think that a national conference will help in this particular matter?
Definitely, you must have a national dialogue. We need to discuss the Nigerian question. We have a situation where we believe we're an amalgam of two protectorates. An amalgam, by my understanding, is the weakest bond. So let us discuss the properties of this bond. And if it must stay, we'll define how and the various ingredients, how it must stay. Therefore, we must talk. It's not done by the barrel of the gun. So let's discuss it. And there should be no areas that should be excluded. We'll discuss it clear cut. And I can tell you, every region will have a position to present.
But we've been told that you don't want the politicians there as much as possible.
Why would you not want the politicians? Who would you want there to discuss it?
Because so far so good. A lot of people, for very good reasons,
yes.
have not been very impressed with the performance of Nigeria's politicians. And they have said they want a people's constitution, a people's conversation. You're laughing, but you know.
Well, you know why I'm laughing? Because the people you don't trust most in this country are politicians. Even when the public tells you, when they are heaping you with lies, and the politician dares to say the truth, nobody believes the politician.
Why should they
believe? Why wouldn't he we should believe him. Give him the benefit of the doubt. You voted him into office, give him an opportunity to perform.
Someone has just sent in a message here, a question rather for you. He says we should please ask the speaker if kidnapping has actually stopped in your own local government area, Iseluku, and that's the message coming for you.
There's it's still going. I'm not saying it's completely eradicated like I started. I said you cannot completely stem the tide of crime, no matter the deterrent you put in place. But if, of course, it reduces the menace, of course it's going on. Iseluku had a peculiar situation where, coincidentally, that's my local government, and there's a whole lot happening there. But in the recent times, it's also slowed down because there's a curfew in place. Right 2 days after we passed the law, right in my own village, someone went to kidnap somebody and kept the person in a house very close to my house in the village, and they destroyed the house. That's the law. So the law will still take its course. That the fact that you have the law does not mean automatically that everything about kidnapping stops. No, it doesn't work like that. It will take time and it will fizzle out.
Trusting the politician. I'll take you back to Joseph. That question was asked. He said, why shouldn't the politician be trusted?
Yes.
Let's begin from the campaign promises.
Yes.
When they make the campaign promises, how many of the promises you've made have you carried through?
Now, when you say campaign promises, how many?
Because that's where Nigerians get to meet the politicians first.
I'll now tell you, as my experience as a legislator, people come to ask me for things the executive should do. They ask you to construct roads for them. They ask you to build schools. They ask you to build hospitals. No, excuse me.
Okay.
You must understand. They are duties of the executive.
Which is where, as a legislator, yes. Do you talk to them? Do you put pressure on the executive to carry on these things?
Why you do? You have time. There's a parley. There's always parleys with the executive governor. Legislators will sit down. These are the issues in my constituency and all of that. And that is what gave rise to the clamor for constituency projects.
So you have that now?
Of course we do. We do constituency projects, yes.
Okay.
We do. So you see, you have those issues coming up. And the average person in my constituency will not understand that it is not the duty of the legislator to build a hospital.
That's a problem, because you see, a lot of people say that when you go to campaign, you do not tell them that. You do not say, I'm making good laws for you. No one will understand that, it would seem, and you have to lie, as it were.
No, you're not lying. That's why I believe that the legislature, you see, is the least developed arm of government. So it needs to engage more with the public, for the public to understand that their jobs, they are quite limited in scope. You can't even go far. I tell people, look at the judiciary. For every court you establish, you must have a judge across the state. Even as low as customary courts in the villages, area courts, you even have the magistrate courts. You must have a magistrate, a judge, a president of the customary court, all, the area court, all there. In the judicial, the executive arm, you have a ministry. You can have a myriad of ministries. You either have a commissioner heading it, a director general, somebody high up there heading it. But you have just one legislature sitting there in Delta State House Assembly in Asaba. If you want to sit anywhere within the state, you must have to move the mace, and it will be ceremonial because the mace is positioned there. But you can only have one. You can't have Delta State House Assembly branch somewhere. It's just one. So you're small in scope, but you are supposed to be the engine room on which the government runs. So people need to understand that it is not because you lied, it's because there's been so much deprivation on the part of the executive coming from the military era. And then for you to be able to tell the people, you'll be able to influence this. But what actually is, when campaigning, that you can influence for them these projects, not that you will execute the projects. So that's the sharp divide. And people say, some say, we are not empowered. How does a legislator empower people?
Okay. Besides this,
yes,
I know. Besides this death penalty, capital punishment law that you put out there, and empowering the people of Delta State, and indeed empowering the electorate, tell us, what laws have you put out there that are benefiting that man out there, whom you promised that you're going to work for?
First and foremost, you want to look at. I'll take you on we have a vigilante commission law, for instance, where in every community you're going to have vigilante set up, which will be paid at a central point. Now, those vigilante committees, for instance, take up people from the communities to ensure peace and security. Now, all around the state, you're going to bring up people in that manner to deal with security. Now, you're taking off a lot of people, giving them employment, but ensuring that they keep the peace and security. Two, you have the Delta State Traffic Management Agency law, which has been passed. Very soon it will come up. It's going to also take up a lot of people to ensure that our roads are kept safe of all manner of obstructions. And the street, like what you have, example, what you call in Lagos, the LASMA. We also have that. You agree it takes off a lot of people off the street. And these are laws that, of course, benefit people, Deltans. So the laws, whatever laws we make, they're not for the benefit of outsiders, they're for Deltans. You have the signage law, which is there. But each time, you cannot make a law to tell government to pay the people money. And that will now be, yes, those are laws that are benefiting the people. So, but I think that's what people keep asking, is what are the laws benefiting the people? Which other laws do we make? Who do they benefit? It's not for the elites. It's strictly for the people.
Well, I'm afraid we don't have much time anymore. Well, that's the much we can take. We've looked at kidnapping, oil theft, and some other sundry issues concerning lawmaking in Delta State. Well, Victor Che is the Speaker at Delta State House of Assembly. We'd like to thank you so very much for finding time to join us this morning.
Thank you, Sulai.
Well, there's a International Day against violence on women and even girls. Perhaps maybe we should be taking a look on that pretty much later. Well, so we'll be back shortly. Stay with us.